Fremont Motel started demolition last week. As of Monday, it looks like it's done, but the marquee is still standing with "Miss You" written in black lettering. The building sustained a series of fire over the years and was condemned by the city fire department, ultimately being ordered to come down. The motel closed years ago and the sign was restored in 2020 as part of the City of Las Vegas Project Enchilada to restore Old Neo.